Hello everyone, welcome to Encryption, the tech tips and tutorial channel. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to configure Windows Server as an FTP server and verify with FTP access. The lab scenario will be like this. We'll have a Windows Server 2019 with the name ntheros-dc01 with the IP address 10.10.10.17/24. This is a domain controller, the main server of the demo organization. This will control all the objects in the organization such as users, computers, other servers, etc. We will install Active Directory domain services with the domain name networkheros.local. And here we have Windows Server 2016 with the name ntheros-ftp and IP address of 10.10.10.16/24. This server will be a member of the domain. We will configure this server as the FTP server in the network. Here we will have another host, Windows 10, with an IP address of the same network, and it will not be a member of the domain. I have installed FileZilla FTP client in this Windows 10 so that we can verify connection between FTP client and FTP server. Then we can easily upload and download files over the network. I have not yet configured anything on these servers. They are just fresh machines. I will configure everything from the scratch as per the diagram and as per this scenario. Here I am on Windows Server 2019, which we are going to configure as a domain controller. So first of all, I'm going to configure static IP to the server. I verify the current IP configuration in server with ipconfig /all command on its command prompt. Now this server is obtaining an IP address from DHCP server, and I will configure the static IP same as the current configuration. So to configure static IP, I just press Windows plus R key and type ncpa.cpl. I adjust this window in the side. I right click on Ethernet 0 and click on Properties. Here I double click on Internet Protocol version 4. Then click on Use the following IP address. Here I assign the IP address as 10.10.10.17 and the subnet mask as 255.255.255.0. The default gateway is, here we can see in the command prompt window, 10.10.10.2. I leave the preferred DNS server box as the blank and then alternate DNS server as the DNS server of my network, that is 10.10.10.2, and then click on OK. Again click on OK. Now we should get the internet connectivity. Then I go to the command prompt and type ipconfig /release. To verify if we have internet connectivity, just type ping and google.com. As you can see, reply is coming from google.com. This proves that we have correctly configured IP addresses and we have internet connectivity. I close this window and also close the command prompt. Then in the server manager, I'm going to change the name of this server. So click on local server. And here we can see the computer name is win-something. Just click on that. Click on change and type the computer name. For example, ntheros-dc01. Then click on OK. As you can see, we have got a prompt that reads, you must restart your computer to apply these changes. Just click on OK and then click on close. Click on restart now. Wait for the server to restart and then we will make further configurations. Okay, the server is rebooted. Right click on the virtual machine and click on Send Ctrl Alt Delete. Give the administrator password and then hit enter. Now wait for the server manager to load, and the server manager loads automatically. We don't have to manually open the server manager. Okay, the server manager is fully loaded. Now I'm going to configure Active Directory domain services in this server. So I click on manage and click on add roles and features. Here click on next. Leaving the role based or feature based installation selected, click on next. We are going to install the role on this server, so click on next. Check on Active Directory domain services, click on add features, click on next. Again click on next. Just click on next. Click on restart the destination server automatically if required, and then click on yes. Wait for the features to be installed. It may take some time to install the checked items, so I fast forward the video. Okay, the feature installation is complete. Just click on close button. Here on the server manager dashboard, we can see an yellow exclamation. Just clicking on that, we see that post deployment configuration, and we can see the link promote this server to a domain controller. Just click on that. Now click on add a new forest and give the root domain name. As per our scenario, the domain name is networkheros.local and click on next. Now create a strong password and retype the password to confirm, and then click on next. We can see a warning. Just ignore the warning and click on next. The NetBIOS domain name is Network Heroes. It's okay. Just click on next. Click on next. Again click on next. And here we can see all prerequisite checks passed successfully. Click install to begin installation. You are about to sign out. When we install or remove Active Directory domain services, the server needs to be restarted. Just click on close. Okay, the server is restarting. Wait for the server to reboot. Okay, Windows Server 2019 is now rebooted. Just right click on the virtual machine and click on Send Control Alt Delete. And here, as you can see in the login name before the administrator, we can see Network Heroes and backslash then administrator. This is how the username appears when we install domain controller in the server or the computer is a member of a domain controller. Just type the administrator password and hit enter. Okay, the server is logged in and we can see the desktop. Now the server manager is loading. Just clicking on local server, we can see the computer name is changed and the server is now a part of domain controller with the domain networkheros.local. We can see the IP address on the Ethernet. Now I think I need to make some modification on the network configuration. So I just press Windows plus R key and then type ncpa.cpl. Here I right click on Ethernet 0 and click on properties. Double click on Internet Protocol version 4. Here under the DNS server addresses section, we can see preferred DNS server is 127.0.0.1. I'm gonna change this to the DNS server which is this server itself, and the server's IP address is 10.10.10.17. For the alternate DNS server, I'm gonna give the DNS server address as the DNS address of the gateway which is 10.10.10.2. Then click on OK. Now to verify, I open command prompt and ping the Google. We have the network connectivity and the internet connectivity. Just close on the windows. Okay, the domain controller is successfully configured on this server. Now let's move on to Windows Server 2016. Here on the server manager of Windows Server 2016, which we are going to use for FTP server, just click on local servers. First of all, I'm going to change the name of the server as per our scenario. So I just click on the computer name. Click on change. Give the computer name as ntheros-ftp and click on domain. Then specify the domain, that is networkheros.local. Click on OK. As you can see, I have got an error. An Active Directory domain controller ADDS for the domain networkheros.local could not be contacted. Ensure that the domain name is typed correctly. We have typed the domain name correctly, but we need to tell this server Windows Server 2019 is the DNS server, and we have to configure the IP address accordingly. So for that, I'm gonna check the IP configurations on the server. So I just type cmd, and on the command prompt I just type ipconfig and hit enter. As you can see, the IP address is 10.10.10.16 and the default gateway is 10.10.10.2. So I'm gonna configure static IP to this server as per this IP configurations, which this server is now getting from the DHCP server. So I open run and type ncpa.cpl. Right click on Ethernet 0 and click on properties. Double click on Internet Protocol version 4. Click on use the following IP address and type the IP as 10.10.10.16. Subnet mask as 255.255.255.0. The default gateway is 10.10.10.2. Click on use the following DNS server addresses, and in the preferred DNS server, give the IP address of the domain controller on which DNS server role is also installed, and that is resolving IP address to name for the computers who are member of that domain. And then click on OK. Then click on OK again. Now click on OK. Give the username as Network Heroes, which is the domain name, and then administrator. Give the password. Click on OK. Now we can see welcome to the networkheros.local domain. Just click on OK. You must restart your computer to apply the changes. Click on OK. Click on close. Click on restart now. The server is restarting with the new IP addresses configured, computer name changed, and joined to the domain. As the Windows Server 2016 is restarting, let's go back to Windows Server 2019 or the domain controller. Then click on Tools, click on Active Directory Users and Computers. Here expand networkheros.local, and if you click on Computers, you can see ntheros-ftp. This computer or the Windows Server 2016 is now a part of this domain. So we can see it listed on the Active Directory Users and Computers and on the Computer section. Now I'm going to create an organization unit for the servers. So right click and then click on New Organization Unit. Here I name the organization unit as Servers and then click on OK. Now I'm going to move the FTP server to the servers organizational unit or the group. So I click on computers, click on ntheros-ftp, select it and then move it to the servers. Just click on S on the prompt. Checking back, it's still getting ready and it's saying that don't turn off your computer. I pause this video and I will be back when the server gets ready. Okay, Windows Server 2016 is now ready and we can see the login screen. Here the administrator user is the local user of this computer, but we should log in as the user which is member of the domain. So I just type the username as networkheros/administrator and type the password. Okay, it's logged in and we can see the desktop. The server manager is loading. Just click on OK on the VMware tools prompt. It's signing out. Again, I right click on the virtual machine and click on send Ctrl Alt Delete. Again, type the password to log in. Now I go back to the Windows Server 2019 and create some users. So just click on Tools and then click on Active Directory, Users and Computers. Right click on Users, click on New and click on User. I type the first name as user and then full name also user, the user login name as user1 and then click on next. I create a password and then confirm the password, then click on next, click on finished. In the same way, I create other users. User2, the login name also user2 and then click on next, create a password and then confirm the password, then click on next. Again, I'm gonna create one more user. Type the first name as user3, user login name also user3, then click on next. Type the password, confirm the password. Here you can see now we have 3 users. Now I'm gonna create a group and place all these users to the group. So on the networkheros.local, I right click and click on new, then click on group. Give the group name as FTP-access and click on OK. Now I'm going to create an organization unit and then move the FTP access group to that unit. So right click on networkheros.local and click on new. Click on organization unit, name the organization unit, for example group, then click on OK. Now clicking on networkheros.local, we can see the group. I just move this group to the group and click on S on the prompt. If we click on group, we can see the group FTP-access. Now I'm going to make the users user1, user2, user3 the member of this group FTP-access. So for that, just click on the FTP-access, right click, click on properties, click on members, click on add and just type user. Then click on check names. Select all the users and click on OK. Again click on OK, click on apply and click on OK. Okay, now the users are the member of this group. We are creating group and making the users the member of the group because it will be easier for us to give access to the FTP server to these users who are the member of this group. Now I just close this window. Then I go to Windows Server 2016. Now I'm going to create a folder on this server and I will place all the files and folders that will be available for the FTP clients. So I click on this folder to go to the Windows Explorer, click on this PC and then double click on local disk C, right click, click on new, click on folder and I name the folder as FTP space root. Whatever I put here that will be available to the FTP clients. Just for an example, I'm gonna create a file. So just right click on it, click on new, click on text document. I rename the file as ftp-test and click on it. I write a line. This is just a test file from FTP server. Then I close this file, also close this window. Next, I'm going to configure FTP server. So on the server manager, click on manage and click on add roles and features. Click on next, again click on next, click on next In Windows servers, FTP is a part of web server IIS. So we have to add the role web server IIS. Just click on that, click on add features, and then click on next. Here some features or some tools are automatically selected. Just leave them and click on next. Scroll down a bit. Here you will see the FTP server. If you click on FTP server, FTP service will automatically be selected. It's okay. Now click on next. Then click on install. As we saw, so many services or tools were automatically selected. So the installation process may take some time. I just pause this video and I will be back when the installation is complete. Okay, the feature installation is complete now. Click on close. Now click on tools and then click on Internet Information Service IIS Manager. Here if you expand networkheros-ftp, then we can see sites folder here. If you expand the sites, you can see default website. This is the default site or default web page of IIS server. Just click on it and on the right side you can see the browse website. Just click on browse AT-HTTP. It will open the default page on a browser. Here we can see the default page of the IIS server. Just close the browser. Now we have to do something for FTP. Just click on sites, right click, and here we can see add FTP site. Just click on this. Click on FTP site name. For example, I give the FTP site name as FTP-main, content directory, physical path. Here we have to locate the folder on which files and folder will be stored to make available for the FTP client to access those files and folders. We have already created that folder on the local disk C of this server. So just click on these two dot, expand the local disk C. Here we can see FTP root. Just select it and then click on OK. Now click on next. Here you need to bind the IP address. So click on the drop down and click on 10.10.10.16. This is the IP address that's configured on my Ethernet adapter. The port is 21. If you have any public IP configured on any network adapter or the Ethernet card, then you can specify that so that you can access the FTP server from public network as well. But for this demo, I don't have the public IP address configured on this machine. So I'm going to use this FTP server on my local network. So I just bind this IP address to the FTP service. Then make sure that start FTP site automatically. This will start FTP service when the server starts. Just click on no SSL. I'm not going to install SSL certificates on the FTP server as this is just for a demo. So I click on no SSL and then click on next. Here on the authentication, we can see anonymous and basic. Anonymous means anyone can log into the FTP server. This will not ask for any authentication. I'm not going to select anonymous, so I select the basic. And for authorization, allow access to specified roles and user groups, because we have created some users from which FTP server can be accessed. And for the roles or user groups, I give the group on which I moved the users, that is FTP-access. For the permissions, I click on read and write and then click on finish. Okay, now we are done with FTP configuration on this server. If you click on FTP-main, and here you can see FTP authentication, FTP authorization, FTP client session. From here you can manage the session and the FTP clients. Now I just minimize this window and now I'm gonna verify the FTP access from the FTP client. Now I move on to Windows 10, which I'm gonna use as the FTP client. And here in Windows 10, I have installed FileZilla client. FileZilla is an application that connects a computer as a client to the FTP server. And here on the host, I give the address of the FTP server, that is 10.10.10.16, username as any user that we created on the domain controller, for example user 1, and then I give password of that user, then click on quick connect. If you are prompted to remember passwords, you can choose any of these options. For now I'm just selecting save passwords and click on OK. It's trying to connect to the FTP server. But unfortunately, we saw connection timed out after 20 seconds of inactivity and could not connect to the server. So I'm gonna troubleshoot this problem. First of all, I go to my domain controller, then click on users, double click on the user, click on account, then check on unlock account. Also uncheck the user must change password in the next logon, and then click on password never expires. Then click on apply and click on OK. Now again I go to Windows 10, the FTP client, and try to connect to the FTP server. Let's see if we are lucky for that. It's still taking a time, that means it's still unsuccessful. I think the firewall might be blocking the FTP connections to the server. So I just go to Windows Server 2016, which we have configured for FTP server, and I open firewall. On the firewall, here click on turn Windows firewall on or off. Turn off Windows firewall for domain network setting and also for private network setting, for public network settings as well. This is not really recommended, but just for demonstration and just for troubleshooting purpose, we are doing that. And then just click on OK. Now we go to Windows 10 and click on quick connect. As you can see, the connection is successful to the FTP server. It's saying insecure FTP connection. This server does not support FTP over TLS. We haven't configured any FTP over TLS. That means we haven't installed SSL certificates on the FTP server. That's okay for demonstration purpose. And then click on OK. Here we go. We can see the directory listed from the remote site. If you click on this / directory, we can see the ftp-test.txt file which we created on the FTP server. To download this file, just right click and click on download. And as you can see, transfer finished. All files have been successfully transferred. This means the file is downloaded to this computer, Windows 10. And as the user is selected, the file should be in that user's home directory. To verify, just click on the Windows Explorer, click on this PC, double click on local disk C, double click on users, double click on the user Sanjay Regmi, and here you can see the FTP test file that's downloaded from the FTP server that we just configured. We just downloaded a file from the FTP server. We can also upload files on the FTP server. So for that, right click. For that, you can just drag and drop the file from your local directory to the remote site directory, or you can create new files here. I'm gonna name the empty file as test file Windows 10. I forgot to give the extension, so I rename, right click and click on rename. Then at the end of the name, I add .txt and hit enter. Although firewall rule for FTP connections are already created at the time of installing and configuring FTP server, that's not always going to work. You will need to create your own firewall rule to listen and allow for the FTP connections on the Windows Server 2016 or Windows Server 2019. Okay, that's all for now. I hope the video was useful to you. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next. Until then, have a nice time. Goodbye.